Rationalize the denominator 1 radical 2 plus radical 3 over radical 5 minus radical 7. This is minus, we multiply by making plus. Radical 2 times radical 5, radical 10 plus radical 2 times radical 7, radical 14 plus radical 3 times radical 5, radical 15 plus radical 3 times radical 7, radical 21 over radical 5 square minus radical 7 square. This is minus 2 becomes negative of in bracket radical 10 plus radical 14 plus radical 15 plus radical 21 over 2. Denominator is already changed to rational. I'm Gazahin. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to get more videos and hit the bell button to get notification. 2 cube root of 4 plus 1 over cube root of 2 minus cube root of 3. To find the rationalizing factor of cube root of 2 minus cube root of 3, we use the conjugate cube identity. Minus b cube is a minus b times a square plus ab plus b square. The conjugate identity of a minus b is a square plus ab plus b square. Let a is cube root of 2 and b is cube root of 3. So when we write in this form, cube root of 2 the whole square plus cube root of 2 times 3, it becomes cube root of 6 plus cube root of 3 the whole square. So we multiply the numerator and the denominator by this one. Cube root of 4 times cube root of 4 become cube root of 16 plus cube root of 4 times cube root of 6. We get cube root of 24 plus cube root of 4 times cube root of 3 the whole square means cube root of 9. Cube root of 9 times cube root of 4, we get cube root of 36 plus 1 times cube root of 2 the whole square means cube root of 4 plus cube root of 6 plus cube root of 9 over this is 2 minus 3 which is equals to negative 1. We get this is cube root of 16 plus cube root of 24 plus cube root of 36 plus cube root of 4 plus cube root of 6 plus cube root of 9. 3 1 over radical 3 plus radical 2 plus radical 5. Just multiply the numerator and the denominator by radical 3 plus radical 2 minus radical 5. So this becomes radical 3 plus radical 2 minus radical 5 over radical 3 plus radical 2 the whole square minus radical 5 square. By using the rule a plus b times a minus b, a square minus b square. By using the rule a plus b square means a square plus 2ab plus b square. So for this one, so it becomes 3 plus 2 radical 6 plus 2. 5 plus 2 radical 6 we get. And this becomes radical 3 plus radical 2 minus radical 5 over 5 plus 2 radical 6 minus radical 5 square is 5. Radical 3 plus radical 2 minus radical 5 over 5 minus 5 will be cancelled out. So what we get? 2 radical 6. There is still a radical on the denominator. So to eliminate this radical from the denominator, we multiply the numerator and denominator by radical 6. Radical 3 times radical 6, radical 18. Radical 2 times radical 6, we get radical 12. Radical 5 times radical 6 minus radical 13 over 2 times 6. 3 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 3 minus radical 13 over 12. This is the answer. 4 radical 6 plus radical 2 over radical 5 plus radical 3. So the rationalizing factor is radical 5 minus radical 3 over radical 5 minus radical 3. So this is equals to radical 6 times radical 5, we get radical 13. Radical 6 times radical 3, we get radical 18. Radical 2 times 5, radical 10. Radical 2 times radical 3, radical 6 over. So the answer for the denominator is radical 5 square minus radical 3 square. This is 5 minus 3, which is equals to 2. So this is the answer. 1 over radical 2 plus radical 3 minus radical 5. Just multiply the numerator and the denominator by radical 2 plus radical 3 plus radical 5. Make this minus 2 plus radical 2 plus radical 3 the whole square, radical 5 square. And radical 2 plus radical 3 the whole square is 2 plus 2 radical 6 plus 3. And this is 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 2 radical 6. So this becomes 5 plus 2 radical 6 minus 5. Radical 2 plus radical 3 plus radical 5 over 2 radical 6. We must multiply both numerator and denominator by radical 6. Radical 2 times radical 6, we get radical 12. Radical 3 times radical 6, radical 18. Radical 5 times radical 6, radical 13. 2 radical 6 times radical 6, we get 2 times 6, which is equals to 12. So this is the answer. 6 2 radical 3 plus 3 radical 2 over radical 2 plus radical 3. Multiply both the numerator and the denominator by radical 2 minus radical 3. 2 radical 3 times radical 2, we get 2 radical 6. 2 radical 3 times radical 3, it is minus 2 times 3. 3 radical 2 times radical 2 plus 3 times 2. 3 radical 2 times minus radical 3, we get minus 3 radical 6. The denominator is radical 2 square minus radical 3 squares. Here this will be cancelled out. We get minus radical 6 over 2 minus 3 is minus 1. Here it is 2 minus 3, which is equals to negative 1. So we get minus 1. Here is the answer is radical 6. Multiply both numerator and denominator by radical 2 minus radical 3 minus radical 5. You will get radical 2 times radical 2, you will get 2. Radical 2 times minus radical 3, you'll get minus radical 6. Radical 2 times minus radical 5, you'll get minus radical 10. Radical 3 times radical 2, you'll get radical 6. Radical 3 times minus radical 3, minus 3. Radical 3 times minus radical 5, minus radical 15. Radical 5 times radical 2, radical 10 over radical 2 minus radical 3 the whole square minus radical 5 the whole square. Radical to the whole square minus 2 times radical 6 plus radical 3 square. 2 minus 2 radical 6 plus 3. So you will get 5 minus 2 radical 6. Insert 5 minus 2 radical 6 in place of radical 2 minus radical 3 the whole squares. 2 minus 3 minus 5, you'll get minus 6. Minus radical 15 minus radical 15 minus 2 radical 15 over, in place of this we insert 5 minus 2 radical 6 minus 5 minus 6 minus 2 radical 15 over minus 2 radical 6. Here is still a radical on the denominator. We must eliminate by multiplying both numerator and the denominator by radical 6. Minus 6 radical 6 minus 2 radical 19, and this becomes radical 6 times radical 6 is 6. 6 times minus 2 minus 12. When we simplify, it becomes radical 6 plus radical 10 over 2. So this is the answer. 8. 1 over 1 plus radical 2 plus radical 3. Multiply both numerator and denominator by 1 minus radical 2 plus radical 3. So this is 1 minus radical 2 minus radical 3 over 1 minus 5 plus 2 radical 6. 1 minus 5 is minus 4. Negative 2 radical 6. Take negative 2 as common. To eliminate this radical from denominator, multiply both numerator and denominator by 2 minus radical 6. So insert here negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. From this what we get? 2 minus radical of 6 minus 2 root 2 plus 3 root 2, we get square root of 2 over minus 2 times minus 2, we get 4. So this is the answer. 9 radical of radical 14 minus radical 10 over radical of radical 14 plus radical 10. So to rationalize the denominator, just multiply both numerator and denominator by radical of radical 14 minus radical 10. You will get radical 14 minus radical 10, and the denominator is radical 14 plus radical 10 times radical 14 minus radical 10 is, we get 14 minus 10, which is equals to 4. So this is equals to radical 14 minus radical 10 over square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. This is the answer. 10 radical of 3 minus 1 over radical of 3 plus 1 minus radical of 3 plus 1 over radical of 3 minus 1 over square root of 2 plus 1 square minus 3. So to rationalize this, let's simplify first the numerator. The least common multiple of radical 3 plus 1 and the radical 3 minus 1 is radical 3 plus 1 times radical 3 minus 1. 3 is cancelled out, 1 is cancelled out. We get minus 4 radical 3 over 2, and which is equals to minus 2 radical 3. So this numerator becomes minus 2 radical 3. The denominator becomes 2 radical 2. To rationalize the denominator, multiply both numerator and denominator by radical 2. You will get minus radical 6 over 2. So this is the answer. This is all about rationalizing the denominator. If there is any doubt, question, comment, don't hesitate to leave under comment section. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you get some value from it. Please hit the like, share, subscribe and bell button to get all notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you with another video.